Since my last review was a really negative one on a show that was very poorly dubbed, I figured to balance it out. This time I should review something that is a really good dub and one could even argue is better than the original. So what dub am I gonna choose? How about FullMetal Alchemist, first series. Okay, first question. Is the opening left intact? Now, here's the thing of it. For the TV version, the Japanese band decided to make a deal with Adult Swim, asking that their openings get used and causing 2 of the openings to be left out. As a result, Ready Steady Go, which is the second opening, was used as both the first, second, and third openings places, while the 4th opening was left. But in the DVD version, the openings are all left intact, no questions about it. As far as the endings go, they have been all left, slightly shortened, but still intact. Now, the question is, does this count as changing it? Personally, I would have to go with no, it does not, because, in all fairness, they did use an opening that's from the Japanese version, and still hear all the other openings in the DVD version, so okay, sure, why not? Yes! Number 2. Is the background music left intact? You know, it just so happens that it is! Yes! Number 3. Free of sloppy or unnecessary edits. Okay guys, here's the deal. On Adult Swim's TV version, there are no edits present. Except maybe like 3 seconds of Scar putting his hand up to the person's face before killing them, maybe? Or something like that, I'm told. Other than that, there's absolutely no edits. In fact, I even remember one of the later episodes that was really violent. Fans everywhere were thinking, oh no, I hope they don't edit this scene out, I'm so nervous. And guess what? They left it. In fact, I even remember Adult Swim being a bit tongue-in-cheek about this by, right before the episode, putting a message up that says, warning, this episode is really violent, and since we don't want to censor it, we'd much rather just tell you. Or something like that. It was pretty funny, actually. But anyways, so there are no edits present. Yes! Number 4, free of heavy Americanization. You know, there's something funny about this question because when you think about it, what is there really to Americanize? Here's the thing. If you were to honestly describe the setting of FullMetal Alchemist, compare it to a real-world area, would you honestly compare it to Japan? Probably not. Most likely, the setting is kinda similar to maybe some European-like area. Maybe Germany, Britain, somewhere along those lines. But I would not really compare it to Japan at all. I mean, the setting, scenery, just doesn't have anything Japanese, and obviously European-like settings are kind of similar to America, so it's really not anything to Americanize, and of course they didn't Americanize the European content, if you want to call it that, so I'm gonna have to say yes to that one. Number 5. Uncut version available to the public in some way. Yep. 6. Good voices. Okay, this one, I don't think anyone can really complain about what I'm about to say. First off, Edward Elric is played by the great and almighty Vic Mignogna. Next, we have Alphonse Elric, who was voiced at the time by the young Aaron Dismuke, whose voice has sadly changed and he's no longer able to voice at all. But since this is before then, he was Alphonse at the time and did an amazing job. Of course, for Winry, we got Caitlin Glass, who does a great job at making Winry really sound like quite honestly, a hot teenage girl. And, of course, we got Travis Willingham playing Roy Mustang, who, of course, has caused Travis to since become cast-typed as fire characters. And he does an amazing job. And, of course, we got plenty of other great actors playing characters in the show. And in truth, none of the main roles are at all a problem. They're all well casted. And most of the other characters are also pretty damn good. So I'm gonna say yes to this one. Number 7, script handled well and free of obnoxious jokes added in, excessively bad translations and otherwise unwanted rewrites. Let's face it, the script is pretty dead-on accurate. Yes. 8. All episodes dubbed, aired, and released to the public so far. No episodes skipped, merged, or otherwise missing. In this series, no episodes have been skipped. Episode count is identical, so yes. 9. Free of name changes. Did they change any names? I don't think so. Yes, it's free of name changes. 10. Overall, is it watchable? I would say it is. It's a great show, and in truth, if you haven't seen it, you might want to watch it, because it's really awesome. Yes! So congratulations, FullMetal Alchemist. You get a perfect 10. And not only that, I gotta point this out. I actually will admit that I do think the dub is better, and in truth, the reason is a reason that can't even be helped. In all fairness, it's not the Japanese version's fault. Now, as I pointed out earlier, the setting in FullMetal Alchemist is not Japan. It really takes place in a European-like area, or somewhere in that type of continuity. And, here's the thing. If you're out in some part of Europe, like maybe Germany or Russia or wherever, do you honestly think it would make sense that everyone is speaking in Japanese? No! Where in Europe does anyone speak Japanese, to be honest? Probably not very much of anywhere. Maybe people speak it as a second language, but I highly doubt anyone speaks it as their normal, fluent, native tongue. But on the other hand, English is a more plausible language you'll hear in Europe. It's one of the languages, it's not the only languages that you'll hear in Europe, but it's at least a somewhat reasonable language you'll hear in many countries. So in all truth, when you think about with FullMetal Alchemist taking place in a European-like setting, it just makes more sense that it's in English. But don't worry, if you're thinking that's the only reason, there are plenty of other reasons. Among others, the voices for starters, I gotta be honest. I think they fit in many ways better in English. And aside from the whole Vic Mignogna is Ed, which I don't think takes much of a reason to explain that one. Though, I'm not saying the Japanese voice is bad, I actually think both are on par. Though I will also say that the fact that Vic is male, like Ed, while the Japanese voice is female, does give Vic a bit of an advantage to some extent. And of course, Alphonse, they used a child rather than an adult female, so can't really complain about that one. And when I say they used a child, I mean they used a child with amazing talent. Good job, Aaron. And of course, there's Winry, who, I'm not gonna lie, her Japanese voice makes her sound kinda like a little girl who's 4. Her dub voice makes her sound like a 16-year-old babe. Now, which one more accurately describes Winry? 16-year-old babe. Now, and of course there's other voices too, like, obviously Travis is an amazing Roy Mustang, and I'll admit Chris Sabat does a great job as Armstrong, and the rest of the cast is also awesome. So I will say that the voices are in many ways as good, if not better, in many ways. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the Japanese voices were bad. I am not saying that in any way. But I will say that the dub voices are amazing. And of course, dialogue is pretty much on par, equally accurate. And I gotta be honest, that's basically my reasons. So, now, of course, you don't have to agree. Some of you probably could say that you like the Japanese version better, and that's fine. But I am one to think that the dub is actually better. And, of course, that's why it earned a 10 out of 10. Well, yeah, and the fact that it actually did all the things that are part of the scale. So yeah, good job, FUNimation. Once again, you have given us an awesome, amazing, perfect dub. don't change a thing about it. By the way, my next video after this one will be for Brotherhood, so don't worry, I'll cover that one too.
To return to that time I followed without a word. My brother, the fault is mine. So where do we go from here? And how to forget and forgive what's gone?